So this is saltbaeiscringe.
I've said this
Penguin.
before, and now it's time to dust it off and say it again. And I don't
It's
care
a
whose
salt
feelings
guy.
get hurt by this. Just like a suppository, I don't care if your ass gets sore. It's time to hit you with the truth. It is extremely embarrassing when somebody makes one thing their entire personality. Whether that's
One
being a
thing
fan of a show, being a fan of a band, or
is going to
expanding
extreme,
beyond
I
it. If you have like
guess.
a shtick that becomes a meme, making that meme your entire brand and your entire life. I find that to be cringe. And the
Okay.
internet is, of course, a portal to cringe. So let's show you who I believe to be the most sad specimen when it comes to this phenomenon. Salt Bae.
Uh-oh.
Salt Bae is a restaurant owner who rose to fame because he sprinkles salt down his arm like this
Like
while
that.
wearing goofy sunglasses. He looks like
Okay.
a time traveler from a steampunk
Goofy.
dystopia. He took off as a meme and kind of a joke online, but then that meme got made into real flesh. He adopted that as part of his soul, and it has now become his entire identity. He
What does he do?
translated all of that online buzz into real world success, so his restaurants are actually quite popular, and they're known for extremely overpriced food. Most notably, this abomination. This is a steak wrapped in edible gold, and I think it looks truly
What
awful.
the?
That shit looks like a poorly wrapped Christmas present, but what's even worse here
Not
is
eating
Salt Bae
that.
himself, the Santa Claus of meat. He comes to the table when you
How do you
order
even eat
something like
that?
this and puts on a little song and dance. So he cuts up the gold steak and then he hits it with his signature anime finishing move
Okay.
where he sprinkles the salt down his arm, and then he grabs a piece of the steak on a knife and then dangles it over any woman at the table's face. He just like dangles the meat over there like he's at like a petting zoo or something, and then the women are expected to like lift up and then bite the meat off
Okay.
of his knife. It's pretty embarrassing to watch. Like I could only imagine going there and seeing your girlfriend do that. You'd be like, "Damn, this is expensive," and I feel like I'm getting cucked, even though all everyone's clothes are still on. It's just I think it's goofy,
Good
very
one.
silly, but overall it's harmless cringe. But as is so often the case with these memers turned celebrities, he flew too close to the
He's going
sun.
overboard
I
on this
think this
one.
shtick was never entertaining. I never really saw the comedy stylings of sprinkling salt down his arm to be gut busting or anything. But it's not like it bothered me either that he got popular from it. But he became way too pretentious with it, and to the point where he felt entitled to be on the field during the World Cup when Argentina won. So he went onto the field after Argentina won the World Cup, and he tried to make the entire trophy ceremony and everything about him. If you go to his Instagram, it's so many pictures of him holding the World Cup, you'd think he was part of the team that won it, even though he had nothing to do with it. And then he also has that picture in the bottom right that
Just
looks like he actually
holding the
fished a piece
trophy.
of poop out of a toilet at one of his restaurants and was playing with it. So he was rightfully getting dunked on by everyone on the internet for this shit, and I just want to show you some of his worst moments here because, man, it is so bad. By far the worst one is him trying to get Messi's attention. So you can see him kind of like harassing him and yanking on him to try and get Messi to acknowledge him, kind of like
Okay.
a toddler trying to get his dad's attention. But Messi's having no part of it. He's actually
You're
celebrating
paying
with the people
attention.
that matter to him and his team, his family, and he doesn't give a fuck about Salt Bae pestering him for like a photo for his Instagram. It's so embarrassing to look at. Now, apparently, Salt Bae and Messi have met before. He wasn't like a complete stranger, but
Okay.
Messi just ate at one of his restaurants and Salt Bae fed him a piece of food. Like it's not like they were inseparable friends or something. And
like they were
the
friends.
gall to go out on the field after the World Cup win and act like you're somehow best buddies with everyone on the team is so laughable and pathetic. It was so bad, in fact, that now FIFA is investigating how he even got on the field in the first place because they're not entirely sure. The leading theory is that he was able to get on the field because he's somewhat friends with the FIFA commissioner, like the head of the FIFA org. So that's the leading theory, but even that's not 100% certain from what I've read. But yeah, let's take a peek at some of those videos he filmed because, man, they're classics.
Okay, this guy.
Just like taking a
This kind
trophy
of
from a
cringe.
baby. So Salt Bae continues to like yank on the trophy until finally the player just relinquishes control to it, and Salt Bae hoists it up as if he's somehow responsible for it. He also shakes his finger no to the baby, letting him know that it's his turn, it's his trophy, he fucking deserved it. He put nutrients in that team's body one time fucking 4 years ago. So he's just as much a part of the crew as anyone else there. He has every right to this trophy. The delusion is remarkable. It should almost be studied. And of course you can't go for a single video without hitting him with that salt sprinkle. Because man, that's so good. It's so iconic even, man. Can't get enough of that one.
Darker here. I thought it was quite awesome too.
Man, that guy's face really tells the whole
inside.
story. That discomfort. Faking a smile, but his eyes are just beyond annoyed. Wondering who is this guy and why is he squeezing on my hand and trying to grab the trophy from me. This one's a real quick one, hitting him with a wow and then spanking the trophy, giving it a little slap on the keister there.
Why does he want
And
the trophy
you can
so much?
see yet another player very uncomfortable with Salt Bae's presence. He's just this like
Yeah,
miasma of uncomfortableness. He swoops in like this absolute plague of awkwardness. He shouldn't be there, and everyone knows it, and he is there, ruining the moment. It's so fucking weird. Oh, here's a great one for the scrapbook. Biting on his medal there. I'm sure he really liked that. A guy that he is not friends with, doesn't even really know, coming out of nowhere for a photo op, and then surprising biting on the medal. Though I guess in Salt Bae's defense, the medal does look a bit like a waffle, so maybe he got a little confused. Maybe he was hungry. There were a couple more sightings of Salt Bae out there making a fool out of himself, but I think these are by far the worst, so there's no reason to keep dunking your head in here into the cringe. I just wanted to make it very clear that this is some absolute clown behavior. I never think it's a good idea to try and make one thing your entire identity. Whether it's a meme, whether it's you just being a fan of something, I always think that that's always just going to be a path to cringe. Just imagine getting a huge ego because you sprinkle salt down your arm on overpriced steak. This isn't the only case of this happening though, by the way, and I've talked about one other before that I'll briefly mention here since it's related. You might remember during E3 a couple of years ago when Keanu Reeves made a surprise appearance. There was that "you're breathtaking" moment that you know, captured the world and tugged on everyone's heartstrings. Well, the audience member who shouted out, "No, you're breathtaking," which became a huge, online deal. The guy who shouted that tried to make an entire career just off of that one line, that one moment, trying to capture that lightning in a bottle over and over again. He became a YouTuber and streamer who tagged everything with hashtag "you're breathtaking" or hashtag breathtaking and called himself the breathtaking guy. I think. I can't quite be certain if he called himself the breathtaking guy. I don't really remember exactly what he gave himself, but I do remember everything he did. He did it with the "you're breathtaking" as the forefront. That was his whole brand and that was his whole online identity, and tried to make a career out of it. It didn't really work. It kind of worked in the beginning because it was still like a wholesome moment and it didn't seem like he was trying to clout chase off of just that one thing. But then it lasted for over a year. Like I still kept up with him like a year later to see if he was still doing it, if he'd finally like graduated from that and started to maybe pivot into a different kind of shtick or even no shtick at all and just being a streamer or a YouTuber. But he never did in the entire time I was checking in on him. It was always going by the "you're breathtaking" moment to try and make that his thing. And it didn't pan out super well. Last I saw, he was streaming to about like 10 viewers at the time. And I just felt really bad for him because this is one of those moments where you have this huge blow up almost overnight because of one thing that you did that everyone loved. So you want to keep doing that because everyone loved it, but then you wear it out. It overstays its welcome. And then eventually you end up in a position like Salt Bae, where it's just kind of washed up, it's run its course, and now you just look silly for continuing to embrace it and continuing to try and sell that. So I just wanted to bring this up because I think Salt Bae is a bit of a loser, especially for this World Cup shit. That's about it.
And that was an interesting one. That means kind of a cringe one. It's an episode of